Now. Good morning, everyone. This is Christine Beck from the Alliance. Welcome to our March webinar, Social Capital and Building Networks, featuring Martha and Laura from Mark First. Just to tell you a little bit about the Alliance, we are a network of self-advocacy groups located all around Illinois. We come together to make changes in our lives and in our communities so that we can live the life that we want. We have member groups as far down south as Alton and Edwardsville. We have member groups way up north in Zion, Illinois, over in Rock Island, all the way to the east side in Champaign and Charleston and everywhere in between. So even if you are not part of an Alliance member group, we appreciate the way you speak up and speak out for the things that are important to you in your life. I'd like you to meet our presenters. We have Martha, who is a self-advocate, and Martha will be sharing more with you about her journey and what social capital means to her. And we have Laura, who is an ally, not only for Martha, but for many other people. So with that, Martha and Laura, take it away.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Christine.
What we hope to share with you today in our hour together is this list of things. We want to talk about what is social capital and why it's important that we all think about social capital. Where does social capital happen? How to develop some connectors to make social capital happen for you, and some examples of social capital. Martha, I think you wanted to talk about why social capital is important to you.
Because it's very important to have connections with different people, like in the community or just all over.
So when we talk about social capital, there's a formal definition here, but it's really another name, and Christine, you mentioned that probably this has been done for many years, called different things, but it's really about friendships and connections and having relationships that develop around a community and a person that keep that community together. We know that social networks have value. We hear a lot of talk on the news and in the political regimen about civic engagement, but all of us being connected to our communities. And we will talk today too about reciprocity. What's important to know is the research has shown us that people who have social capital are healthier, happier, and safer than people who do not have social capital. We want to just take a moment and do an exercise. We're going to ask you to think in your mind or jot down on a piece of paper. We're going to give you 30 seconds. And think of all the titles that people have for you. So are you known as a daughter, a church member, a sister, a student? But let's just take 30 seconds and in your mind think of that list of titles that people have for you.
All right, so go ahead and either think about it or write down all the titles that people have for you. And we're going to ask you to use your control panel and share with us some of the titles. Maybe they're titles that you see on your screen now or that Laura mentioned. Maybe there are other titles that you are known by. We want to hear some of them. So as soon as you have some titles, go ahead and use your control panel to write them in. I will share them with everyone. If you do not want me to share what your titles are, you can go ahead and send them to us and just put, please don't share, and we will honor that. So we'll give folks a couple seconds to start chiming in. So Martha, while folks are chiming in, let me ask you, what titles are you known by?
Like a daughter, a sister, a friend,
Okay.
volunteer.
All right. Well, you know what? We have some folks starting to chime in. From change to independence altogether, we're known as self-advocate, friend, employee. From Tara Wiki, one of our Alliance staff members, she's also known as a friend and a fiance. Kathy Haber at Lewis and Clark Community College is known as a mother, sister, teacher, friend, grandmother. Wow, from developing social connections over in Champaign, daughter, sister, mom, friend, neighbor, advisor. Oh my goodness, this is a great list.
Oh my.
From CTF Advocacy Center in Charleston, mother, daughter, son, brother, sister, friend. Oh, from Livingston County Advocates in Action, Jessica is a cousin. Eric is known as a son. We are known as advocates. And another one from Developing Social Connections in Charleston. We are known as self-advocates, employees, and employers. Wow, what a list. Thank you, everyone.
Very cool. Thanks, everyone. That's a great list. So what you just listed is social capital. Many of you already have social capital happening, whether you're a grandmother, an employee, a self-advocate. You all are starting to develop that social capital, and that's great. I think the next slide, yep, thanks, Christine. We also want to do another little exercise. Christine, I love that, bringing that up on the screen.
Right, me too.
Yeah, very cool to talk about that. We want you now to take 30 seconds again, and again, list or think in your mind about people you see, talk, or spend time with on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. And we just threw up a couple examples, Martha and I, up there. Nephew, doctor, hairstylist, friend,
cousin.
So if we could do that same kind of thing, Christine, I'll let you lead that, but if we could take 30 seconds and come up with a list of people we engage with.
All right, so I bet no one thought they were going to be doing some exercise this morning, did you? We're exercising our brains. So list all the people that you see, you talk to, or you spend time with, either each and every day, maybe it's just one time a week or one time a month. Use your control panel to type that in. And again, if you want to share something, but you don't want me to share it with everyone, that's okay. Just let me know. Oh my, and they're starting to chime in already. From Livingston County Advocates in Action. They engage with family, pastors, co-workers, and nurse, the mayor, and the Walmart greeter. Wow, from change to independence altogether. Friends, family, staff, bus driver, housemates, doctor. Kathy Haber at Lewis and Clark Community College, son, daughter, hairstylist, friends, workmates, grandchildren, my supervisor. From CTF Advocacy Center in Charleston. Oh, these are really cool. Family, truck drivers, friends, firefighters, police, Walmart cashiers, waiters and waitresses, also pastors. From Developing Social Connections in Champaign, we have coworkers, family, friends, cashiers at stores, bus drivers, staff at work. Tara Wiki has friends, family, coworkers, community members, and business owners. Oh, I like this one. Thank you, Livingston County Advocates in Action. They said family, coworkers, and the Alliance. Whoop, whoop. And Kathy Haber at Lewis and Clark Community College said she engages with students. Whoo, man, I'm tired just reading all that.
Can you just...
So great list, guys. Just a little bit about the research on that list. Research says that an average person in the community has 150 people on that list for each of them, and we only took 30 seconds, and you guys already had about 100 actually. But it is also known that people with developmental or intellectual disabilities generally have 10 or fewer people on that list, and oftentimes those are paid staff on that list. So that's our focus today, is helping build that list to get those higher numbers. And you guys are already champions. You guys are already doing that, actually. Great list. I think we want to talk a little bit about, and we mentioned a few of these things earlier, but why is social capital important to us? We know that people across the world are safer when they have support networks. You have people who look out for you, your neighbors look out for you, and you have people who take care of you. We know that people are happier when they belong to groups, and also that people are healthier emotionally, physically, and spiritually when they give back to others and have social capital. Some groups have had limited opportunities for social capital, and that may be by where they live or by their community. And I think, Martha, you want to talk about how your supports have kept you safe and happier. How have you relied on your social capital to help you out?
Like my staff where I live, like things they do for me to get me through my day, you know, get me up and get me ready for my day. And then I communicate a lot with friends and family out through the day, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you know, Martha, this is Christine, and as you're talking about friends, I'm reminded of the Beatles song, I get by with a little help from my friends.
Yep, for my friends.
All right.
Yep. I love that
Are you two
song.
going to sing it too? Just
No.
singing. All right.
No,
Okay.
it's not
All
that kind of webinar.
No singing
No singing.
today.
All right, good, got it. All right. So then a little bit of what we looked at is, where does social capital happen, in what environments for our world as a whole? And one place where you can gain social capital is through the political processes. And Martha, do you want to talk about voting last week?
Yeah, I went and voted last week. So, and that was real important to do too. Friday, one of the representatives, one of the senators from Livingston County came to my apartment to see where I live and see all the equipment and stuff I have to use to help me get through my periods, out through my day. It was a senator and like 3 or 4 other, some of the people from Mark First on, you know, come to see my apartment along with him. And we talked a little bit about the community services we get and how important that is for all of us, needing all the help that we can all get, anybody, you know, for support and money and that kind of stuff.
And what was great, so Livingston County, you guys may know Tom Bennett. That's who was with us with Martha on Friday. He said that Martha could reach out to him, and if anything was changing in her life and she had concerns, to let him know. So she now has him as part of her social capital network.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very cool. We also, by participating in our community, which is kind of that civic participation, we know that through volunteering and being engaged in our community, we build social capital. People also get a lot of social capital from it being part of religious groups, whatever that might look like for you. And Martha, did you want to tell the story about your family and Salvation Army?
Yeah, my grandmother belonged to the Salvation Army for over 40 years. And we were very involved as a family, involved with the Salvation Army. And that was very important to our whole family.
Lots of you mentioned being employers or employees, and so our workplace connections are really important for building social capital. You want to talk about Walmart?
Yeah, I worked at Walmart for almost 4 years. I was a door greeter, but I also did do other things there. I returned groceries in certain areas and just helped out wherever I could, wherever they needed me or wanted me.
And then we also have
Laura, if I could interrupt for a moment, some folks are having some difficulty hearing you. So if you could just move closer to the mic or speak up, that would be fantastic. I don't want them to miss a thing you have to say.
All right, thanks, guys. And I got to use my teenager voice, right?
Yes, we call that your outside playground voice.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna put that on. Thanks for letting me know, guys. I appreciate that. So we have informal social connections. So those can be things like card clubs you belong to, best buddy organizations you belong to, and I think Martha, you wanted to talk about bowling, your dad's bowling group, and what that meant to you.
Yeah, my dad used to, when we lived in Colorado, my dad used to be on a bowling team. And as a family, we used to all go there and watch him bowl and communicate with people that we met there out through the years. We just had a great time. It was just something we always look forward to every Monday night.
You said then if some family had a sick member or something.
Yeah, if somebody had a sick member, you know, that we would help out that way. My mom was very good about if something happened to somebody's family, like a passing away or something, she would take dishes, food. She was always doing that kind of stuff.
That's a great example of social capital. And then at the bottom, so some of my friends in the CIA I know are much better than at social media than I am. And you know who you are down there smiling. But Facebook, and I don't know all the other things, but Twitter and all those things are certainly a way to stay connected. One caveat with that is research shows that social media, although it keeps you initially connected with people, sometimes it's hard to have intense long-term relationships through social media if you're not seeing that person in person and connecting with them. Next, we just want to talk a little bit about friendships and what those mean in terms of social capital. And you want to talk about this being your apartment?
This is my apartment where I live now. I've lived there almost 11 years with the help and support through Mark First. And this is my friend Terry, who's outside holding the door. And that's my cat, Snickers, on my tray.
So Martha has had a rich friendships, and one thing she really likes is having people come to her apartment that she chooses.
I love people coming to my house.
How do you communicate with your people?
I communicate a lot through phone. That's my way of communicating with people, actually. Mostly is through phone.
So I would guess probably 2 or 3 times a week, Martha has friends stop by. She coordinates that schedule for herself.
I have friends, I have family that come over. I just never know when they're going to pop in.
And that's a good lead to the next slide. This is a picture of...
This is a picture of me and my mom and my dad. Some of our family was leaving, so we was telling them goodbye. And that was my mom's sister that came to visit from Springfield here in town to visit us when we lived out in California.
Some of your family follow Facebook.
And some of my family here in town, I have cousins that live here in town. They follow me on Facebook.
All right.
All the time to see what I'm involved in, to see, you know, I actually got Mark through Mark Center through my cousin that used to work for Mark first.
So Martha has given us permission, like Friday when Representative Tom Bennett was with us. She gave us permission to share that on Facebook, and then her family can share in those stories.
Right.
Great. Anything else? Next community?
No.
And Martha, I'm going to let you talk about how you've helped agencies like United Way and Mark First.
I've helped United. I've helped through United Way, Mark First. Actually, some even through Walmart, with support of staff. Because I think it's very important too about staff, because if it wasn't for a lot of our staff, where would we be also?
Okay.
So I think this day we had United Way volunteers come out to Martha's home, and they were doing some gardening with folks. And so Martha and one of her friends were out making them feel welcome, talking about the services and thanking them for their participation. And after this first time, they have come back every year to help Martha do gardening on her home. In fact, last year they made garden boxes for you, right?
Yeah, and we planted tomatoes and carrots and I think zucchini or all that kind of stuff, all our vegetables and stuff. We ate on that a lot. I thought that was a really good project for all of us.
So Martha has a lot of connections with those community folks as well. This slide talks a little bit, and you guys all mentioned this, I think, in your feedback to Christine, that work is really a natural way to build social capital. So Martha, you wanted to talk about volunteering at Heritage?
I volunteered at the nursing home. I was in the nursing home for a while. So after I got out, I volunteered for a while. I passed mail, I passed water, I helped feed people that needed help. It was very rewarding. And I also worked at, like I said, at Walmart for almost 4 years. And then let's see, what else did I do? When I worked at Walmart, United Way came out and we talked a little bit. I was out in the garden area, and I just talked about some of the things I did there and all that kind of stuff.
And then you also
and I actually trained staff here at Mark First. I do a lot of my own training with new staff when they come in at our house. I do most of my own training with staff.
And then this picture actually is of a gentleman, Brian, who said we could share his story. He has worked at the Marriott now for 7 years, and he's been Employee of the Month. He's been nominated as Employee of the Region, and he's also taken on more leadership responsibility and now supervises some people in the laundry area with some very technical equipment there. And this is another great example of Brian giving back to the community. The shortest guy in the front is our Senator Jason Barrickman from our community, and he actually was learning more about supported employment. So Brian chose to share his story with his general manager and really helped educate our senator about how important work is for people with disabilities. The next slide, Mark and I always talk about how important it is to share your gifts and your knowledge with people. And this is actually a picture of Martha and Vicki speaking to a community group, our League of Women Voters. And they have people come and talk about and give people the opportunity in our community to talk about what it is like to be a person with a disability. And Martha, you talked to them a little bit?
Yeah, I just told them about my apartment and how long I'd been with the Mark Center and how much support that the Mark Center had given me, and to make my life as accessible as it can be, and all that kind of stuff. And there was quite a few people there, over 100.
And so how this social capital kind of grows and builds this network. After Martha spoke, the president of the league came and talked to Martha and I and said that they really felt like their group should have people with disabilities as part of the league. It's about a 200-member organization, and they decided to give scholarships so that we could have people with disabilities be part of their group, because there is a fee to belong. And so now Betty, who's part of our CIA group, is now a member of the League of Women Voters. So Martha and Vicki talking really opened that door for Betty to now become a community member engaged with the League of Women Voters. It's a great story. Vicki also, there in the middle, she also spoke at a national housing conference about housing needs for people with disabilities. She lives in her own apartment and has 2 jobs in the community, but she feels like it's her responsibility to advocate for more housing for people with disabilities. And so she was asked, after she had gone to some training sessions on housing, she was asked to come to the national conference. They paid for her to go to that conference on the Magnificent Mile in Chicago. And then Vicki also did a video that is seen nationally about the needs for housing with people with disabilities. So these two really share their gifts, and they're able to speak in front of groups very eloquently. And so they really shared those gifts, and then it just keeps giving back to them and to others.
And that's what I really want for everybody, to be able to do this kind of community speaking.
We talk a little bit about reciprocity, and what that means is when you do something nice to someone else, sometimes good things come back to you. And so the example of Vicki and Martha speaking to our 100 folks at the League of Women Voters, that then opened the door for Betty to be able to be a member of the League of Women Voters. So lots of times doing these things and being connected to your community will give back to you or to others many times over. One thing when we talk about social capital, and Martha's really good about this, it doesn't mean that you're asking for anything in return.
No, I'm not.
You just do it.
I do it because I think that's very important. I think anybody that's able to speak or communicate, to be able to do something like this is a wonderful thing.
We also talk a lot here, and people have helped teach me that it's important for people with disabilities to be able to give back and contribute to society. And in doing that, you'll start building your social capital. So I'm just going to do a little bragging about some of the folks on the phone, but we have a Mark First Choir here. So people who have musical gifts and talents, they go out and share their gift of music with nursing homes and other people with specific needs in our community. And they give back, and they're not necessarily expecting anything in return, but they're giving back to their community, and it's a great way for them to get back. And people come back and they're so happy that they've helped the seniors and made them feel good for the day. It's really rewarding for everyone involved. And when we see the outcomes for people, when they are out there building social capital, it can really be amazing in what we see. The next picture is a great story, and I'm going to let Martha tell this.
Where are they from?
Russia.
This is a group of people from Russia. So they came here for about a week. They went all around Mark Center, different places. They came to my apartment to see my apartment, the setup, like the things I have, the equipment and all that, because they don't have something like this where they're at. They have, I think they have 1 or 2 places, but they don't have a lot of people like Mark First has. They don't have a lot of group homes and stuff like that. And so they were so fascinated with the setup for me, like what I have. And they were so amazed that, that I had it set up like I do my apartment. It was just great. They were here for about a week. And then the one girl from Russia, she was very emotional because she has a grandmother that wants a place like this, but they have nothing like this in their community. And she even cried. She was very emotional.
Yeah, she said she wished that they had.
She wished that they had something like this over where she lived, and her grandmother. Because her grandmother was in a nursing home, I believe. And she said her grandmother was very sad. She would rather be in her own place.
Yeah, it was a great story. So we always say Martha now has international connections in social media, which is great. Martha also presented to our chamber. They have a leadership program, and you did a presentation with Christy to that group too, to young leaders, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that would be through our chamber, so kind of through our business community and making people aware of services to people with disabilities.
Even one of the people in the audience come up and told me I almost made him cry because things that I was talking about, really got to him.
And I think you kind of stay connected with some of those folks.
Mm-hmm. I have.
So our next slide talks a little bit about being a connector. And so these are just some tips I think Martha and I thought are important to staying connected. One is don't be afraid to share your interests and gifts. If you're passionate about something, whether that be animals or music or communicating or speaking or self-advocacy, make sure you share your interests and your gifts so that people can help find opportunities for you to use those gifts in the community. And things that you're successful at, keep a little journal about that and keep those in your mind so that when your team is looking at helping you build those connections, or your family or your friends are building those connections with you, you can think about the things that really make you happy and that you're really passionate about. We talk a lot about looking for community opportunities to share gifts. So the League of Women Voters is an example. When they called me and said, hey, we'd like to have a topic on people with disabilities, I reached out to a few folks to see if they would be interested to share their story. And so really challenge everyone around you to keep looking for those opportunities for you to be engaged in your community with things that you feel passionate about. Sometimes we need to have supports to be successful.
And especially if it has something to do with in your family also, to communicate for someone in your family that might not be able to communicate, so you can communicate for them.
And reach out to people who might be able to help you be a connector. And I really think this doesn't always have to be staff.
Yeah, I have friends that have community picnics out through the summer, and they've invited me to their churches for a picnic. They've even invited some of my housemates to go along. So, I mean, and the person that I go to their church, she actually worked for Mark Center a long time ago with some of us. And we just remained friends. We've been friends for a long time. I've known her children since they were small. And we're still really good friends.
And we also talk about knowing what organizations your connectors can connect you to. Martha may not have known that I was a member of the League of Women Voters, and so just being aware of what connections might be out there for folks is really a great way to use those connectors and do that. And I think when people, when you see people shine, that's when we keep looking for more of those opportunities. I think sometimes I wear Martha out with all the opportunities, but she just shines when she's talking to people and advocating for others, and so we try to look for as many opportunities as possible. We just then at the end here, Martha and I just came up with some examples of, and these aren't all Martha's, it's not your whole resume, but these are things we have seen our friends here at Mark First do in terms of social capital. So many in our CIA group that are on the phone, they got trained through our voter registrar's office, and they were actually a site for people to register to be voters. So that's giving back. They have new friends in the registrar's office, in the county clerk's office, I think it's called, and they are totally connected to that group. And so we are a voter registration site too, and so we're giving back to our community. I mentioned the choir. Mark making is people doing artwork. Not me, I'm not an artist, are you?
No.
No, Mark and I, that's not Mark and I, but mark making where people do artwork and then they actually can sell that artwork if they choose to. We mentioned legislative visits, advocacy, speak up, speak out, doing lots of things with the Alliance and being connected to that as well. We mentioned the League of Women Voters. We have a Not in Our Town group that is making sure that we respect all people and that there's no bullying or cruelty in our community. And we have a young man who went with me to one of those meetings, and he was asked to represent people with disabilities. So there's a steering committee of 20 people, including our mayors and elected officials. And then Raphael and I go to that, and he represents people with disabilities on that group. So it's really great to have a voice and to have him be part of that group. And he's actually working with high school students to eliminate bullying in schools through that program.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Going Home Coalition, that's where you first met Christine.
Yeah, that's where we first met Christine. And actually Terry was involved in some of that too. And he loved that. He's just a great person.
And we've had people serve on the City Council work group as we vision what 2025 is going to look like. We want people with disabilities to have a voice in that. Martha, you serve on a Human Rights Committee here.
Oh, I am on the Committee of Human Rights today. Once a month we have meetings. Sometimes I come here, sometimes I do it over the phone. It just kind of depends on the weather and that kind of thing. But I've been involved in that for quite some time.
Our other list is taking opportunities when grants or monies are awarded. People have spoken and told their stories. We're going to actually show a video of Martha today that she did that tell their stories. We have people that receive services at Mark First present at our events and tell their stories. I mentioned Best Buddies, and Jason in the CIA group downstairs, they work closely with Best Buddies here in town. We participate in United Way and tell our stories through that way as well. Martha and many other people here in the organization have spoken to classes at ISU, Illinois Wesleyan, and Heartland Community College, to both faculties and to students. We have people who participate in the Community Baseball League, and then our self-advocacy groups have had political leaders come in and talk about issues such as tax increases. So really engaging on many, many different fronts: recreational, political, civic engagement, volunteering, but all of those help strengthen your social capital. And I think if we could show Martha's video, this is a video she made.
All right. So just bear with me, everyone. I'm going to make the different changes so I can pull up the video and make sure that the audio is playing properly.
My legs were crossed like a pair of scissors when I was born. Some of my doctors told my parents that I should be put in an institution, and they said absolutely not, that I did not ask to be born to be put away. They kept me at home and took care of me up until my mom passed, and then my dad took care of me up until he passed. And then they wanted to make sure I was settled, so
I love your picture with the horses.
my cousin was with the March Center. There's been challenges, but that's the way life is, and you just have to face what comes, and you never know. Each day you never know. I was living over at Douglas, and they didn't have the right things over there to help me anymore, so I had to move away for a while. And I've had people tell me in the beginning, oh, you'll never get your own apartment. I said, well, we'll wait and see. Because, you know, I had to fight for 7 years to get where I'm at. It took 7 years, but here I am. I just love my apartment. Being able to get to my oven, my microwave, the stove, it's just the greatest feeling. Knowing you can do, even though I'm in a chair, I can still do a lot for myself. Well, I just think it's important for anybody who has a disability to try to be able to move on their own in a place like this. I mean, I think that's very important because there's a lot of people out there that want to live in a place like this instead of in a nursing home or an institution. It's very important for anybody that has a disability. I just want to thank everybody, because if it hadn't been for them and Mark First and all the money that we're given, I mean, this place wouldn't be here. They're very caring. They love people. They love working with people with disabilities. I mean, I've been with them since '92. And they're just all great. They really care and want the best for all of us. It's like a dream that nobody said that would ever come true for me, but it has. So, you know, dreams are possible.
All right. Oh my goodness. How was that? I already had a comment on that, Martha, that someone wants to know if you'd be okay with us sharing that video on the Alliance Facebook page so that more people can see how awesome you are.
Sure.
And we also had Livingston County Advocates in Action chime in and say, wow, that was amazing. Great job. And Tara said she's tearing up over here, which is exactly how I feel every time I see it. And I've seen it several times now, but it's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you.
These are just a few resources we put out there. These are things we've used when we talk about the research numbers and some of that. So I just want to make those available for folks as well. And then I think our last slide is just Martha is happy to answer any questions. I also just want to let y'all know that this week is Martha's birthday, and I told her I was going to do this, but we want to wish her a happy birthday this week as well.
Well, how about this? Let's see if I can take everybody off mute. And how about Martha, from north to south and east and west, we're going to see if we can all sing a happy birthday here. So it's going to get a little bit loud as I take everybody off of mute. Okay, all of our groups, we are getting off of mute. So on the count of three, we are all going to sing Martha happy birthday, all right? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, dear Martha. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, everybody.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mute folks so we can continue on. But we do want to ask if people have questions, comments, and consideration. And what I heard from some folks, they didn't have a mic, but they were singing. And Kathy Haber at Lewis and Clark Community College says, happy birthday to you, Martha.
Oh, thank you.
So again, if you have questions, comments, or considerations that you would like to share now with Martha and with Laura, go ahead and use the control panel to type those in. If you'd like to get in touch with Martha, we ask you to contact Laura at Mark1st. I also want to remind everyone that this webinar is being recorded. So if you would like to receive a copy of the webinar because you would like to have it for your library, or because you'd like additional people to be able to take advantage of this wonderful learning opportunity, just send me an email and let me know. All right, so we've got some folks chiming in from your wonderful friends, probably down the hall at Change to Independence Altogether. They say, thanks, Laura and Martha, for all the compliments. All right. Here's a great question. This comes from Livingston County Advocates in Action. They're located in Pontiac, Illinois. So what is your favorite thing about living on your own? So Martha, they want to know, what's your favorite thing about living on your own?
To be able to have my cats and all my friends and people I've met out through the years.
All right.
Just have my own place.
Doing your own thing.
Yes.
All right.
Doing my own thing.
And CTF Advocacy Center in Charleston, Illinois, Judy says she thinks that it's really cool that you have your own apartment.
Me too.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, or considerations that they would like to share right now? Just go ahead and use your control panel to type those in. We will read them out loud if you give us permission to. And again, if you'd like to get in touch with Martha, we ask you to do that by contacting Laura at Mark1st.org. All right. As people are chiming in or they're thinking about what they want to share, Martha and Laura, do you have any last words of advice for folks when they're thinking about social capital?
I just want people to speak out for people they know or family. That's one of my concerns for like little children. Like here at Spice, I want their family to speak out for them because out through the years, as they grow, then they'll learn to speak for themselves.
Okay.
That's very important to me.
All right. So it sounds like, Martha, social capital and speaking up and speaking out is not just for adults. It's for anybody of any age?
It's for anybody at any age, young families, anybody.
All right. Well, we have a question for you that came in from Nathan. at Livingston County Advocates in Action. Nathan did a webinar last year called Attitudes Are Contagious. Is Yours Worth Catching? But he has this question for you, Martha. Nathan works at Walmart, and it has helped him to make new friends. First, he wants to know, how long did you work at Walmart? And did you have the same experience that he did or he has? So first is, how long did you work at Walmart?
Almost 4 years.
Okay. And then the second part of the question was, did it help you to make new friends?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Good.
because it even helped me to speak even more, because you have to speak to people all the time, as a door greeter, and show them where places where they need to go, whatever. But yeah, it opened me up even more to speak even more.
Okay, fantastic. And here is a comment from Judy at CTF Advocacy Center in Charleston. She just wanted to let you know that she never gave up and she's going to keep going.
Oh yeah, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up, no matter what.
All right.
You have to keep fighting for whatever you want or whatever you believe in.
All right. And Laura, do you have any last minute words of encouragement?
So my dream would be is that every community meeting I go to, every group I belong to, that we always have people with disabilities there being a voice. And I feel like that's kind of my challenge as a connector, to make sure that we have the voice of people with disabilities. I don't want people making decisions about our government, about how our community is going to work, without having people with disabilities have a voice in that. So that's my challenge as a connector.
And Laura's helped me a lot that way too. She's helped me to open up more, because I've been with many higher up people than I ever had in my whole life.
All right. So that is a challenge. We've heard the challenge to self-advocates that keep on speaking up and speaking out. And we've heard now the challenge to the advisors and to the staff to look at the different meetings and committees and work groups that are out there that maybe you participate on, or on which your agency is represented. Are there self-advocates at the table? So we have challenges for all of us today, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Well,
it's all around the whole world.
That's right. Well, let's see. We have one last minute comment, and this comes from Jason and the CIA. Good job, Martha. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody participating today in this webinar of mine and Laura's.
Well,
it means a lot to both of us.
Oh, and Megan Norland, who is an Alliance staff member, she says, thank you, Martha and Laura, and happy birthday. And
thank you.
CTF Advocacy Center, Kim wanted to let everyone know that today is her birthday as well. Well, hold on a second, because we might have to do another singing, and if that's okay, now that we've warmed up. And let's see, Developing Social Connection says, another great webinar. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to unmute everybody, because now we are going to sing happy birthday to Kim. All right.
I want to thank you, Christine, for everything.
You know what, Martha? Thank you. All right.
You're an amazing woman.
Well, it takes one to know one. It really does. So everybody, let's get ready. We are going to put our voices together and sing happy birthday to Kim. So 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Kim.
Happy birthday to you. Well, everyone, on behalf of the Alliance and all the self-advocates, not only who are Alliance members, but self-advocates in Illinois and around the country, thank you so much for continuing to speak up and speak out and to be teachers and allowing us to learn from you. We have
Please
one
come
last.
and visit us.
All right.
Please come and visit us sometime, Christine.
All right, I will. So everyone have a fantastic day. We will see you next month for the April Alliance webinar, and that's going to be all about the Going Home Rally. So whether you're going to be attending the Going Home Rally, we want to get you prepared, or if you're unable to attend the Going Home Rally in Springfield, but you want to do some advocacy around going home in your communities, we're going to talk about that. So everybody have a great day. Thank you so much for attending. Bye-bye.